I'm Mel Brimfield. I'm an artist working at the intersection of live art, theatre and moving image. And I make work using a lot of socially engaged methodologies which involve voices that aren't necessarily heard in the cultural sector enough. So the show at the Tetley, From This World to That Which Is to Come, is based on a really extensive research period of 2 years. I was based at the King's College Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology and Neuroscience and at Bethlehem Royal Hospital National Psychosis Unit. So I had an extraordinary privilege to see how people at the absolute kind of limit of their kind of mental health illness are cared for with such amazing sort of creativity, with kindness and collectivity, really, being together. In response, I began to think about, well, just the value of community in staving off these kind of big mental health breaks that people experience. And I wanted to talk about the beauty of small initiatives that happen locally across the country that contribute daily to people's wellness and sense of well-being.
I wonder if
So in the atrium, the central piece of the show is The Stand, and it's a piece that I've co-produced with composer Gwyneth Herbert. It's a sculptural audio sound system, basically, and it's a 16-speaker piece, and the sound migrates kind of around the space, but it's based around a speaker embedded in a gold-leaf tree. And this is the voice of Patrick, a long-term inpatient who I encountered really early in my residency and then had the pleasure of seeing every week, often singing or reciting a poem or leading us in an exercise. Just a beautiful human being. And I just thought this has to be the centre of what I do. So Patrick's voice is in the middle, and the voices you hear in the gallery are of a choir called More Than Just a Choir, who are part of Rethink Mental Health in Harrow.
they had me in love with you as my sweetheart.
Knowing that it was going to end up being a multi-speaker sound piece, I began to think about sculptural ways to house those speakers, and I began to approach chapters of UK Men's Sheds and Men's Sheds Cymru, and each group made a chair which represented their particular skills. So there's kind of marquetry, stained glass, mosaic, wood turning. It's very beautiful. And I think what emerges is a sense of vulnerability and fragility in the slightly uncertain voices. But there's something about the collective power held by Gwyn's vocals and being together and singing together and the power that can have. And hopefully that comes through in some sense in the sculpture. The show takes its name from John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress, and in it there's a character, the giant Despair, in Doubting Castle, and I've cast my father in this role, but via Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno from the 70s TV series The Incredible Hulk. So my father appears as a purple Hulk throughout the exhibition, full of impotent rage, so that's one characterisation. Also Tintin's adventures are compressed into this kind of deluded paranoid fantasy of pursuit and conspiracy performed from the interior of Bethlehem Hospital. I consult Lucy from Peanuts for therapy. Yeah, so there's these kind of elisions between the different characters. Themes crop up repeatedly. All the monologues are read by the same actor, David Cann. So there is this sense of a legion of voices all competing against each other. And when you're stood in the main atrium, you can hear the kind of chiming of the voice and soundtrack, and that's quite important. I think the show is trying to encourage people to understand the radical potential of collectivity, actually. What can happen when we come together, especially at this incredibly difficult time. It seems more important than ever. And realising that, you know, as the banner says, unity is power. That's kind of the central message of the show, I think.
You read your lines so cleverly, I never missed the cue. Then came Act Two. You seem to change.